Welcome to Second Edition. I'm Kayla Patterson.
And I'm Caleb J. Namard. Coming up on today's show, Edmonton's newest winter event makes an impact.
Plus, in new research in the diabetic sector.
And an Oil Kings tradition keeping strong.
But first, NAIT commemorates the anniversary of White Ribbon Day. Today marks 34 years since the murder of 14 young women at Polytechnic Montreal.
Offices, less than 10% of them.
Ceremonies like this one were held at post-secondary schools across Edmonton this morning, including here at NAIT. They are a time for staff and students to acknowledge that violence that occurred on December 6, 1998. Today is now recognized as National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women.
December 6th is an opportunity to bring people's awareness to what is happening to people in their day-to-day lives. It's also an opportunity to recognize folks who've lost their lives based on gender-based violence. But I think it's really about how do we get people to turn their focus towards this issue.
NAIT says one of the steps it's taken is creating a new gender-based and sexual violence prevention policy. The procedure recognizes that sexual violence can happen to and be committed by individuals regardless of sexual orientation, gender identity, or relationship status.
3 weeks before the Online News Act is set to kick in, the federal government has reached a deal with Google. Since June of 2023, Canadian news companies have been losing access to major social media outlets like Instagram and Facebook due to Bill C-18. However, a deal between Google and Canada's government in regards to the Online News Act has been reached, with the company continuing to share Canadian news online in exchange for annual payments to Canadian newsmakers.
It is a step in the right direction, and in an industry that is struggling, it was probably the right decision, and I think that hopefully we'll see a little bit more collaboration going forward, and that would be to the benefit of all news outlets and ultimately for the consumer who watches or reads papers.
As Google now agrees to show Canadian news online, many hope that Meta will follow in their footsteps and let news content be shown on its platforms.
A team of researchers at the U of A is looking at the connection between diet, exercise, and type 2 diabetes. The researchers in the kinesiology faculty have finished phase 1 of the study, and they say early results are positive. The team is looking at how a combination of diet and exercise could possibly stop type 2 diabetes or put it in remission.
Diet and exercise has been used as part of diabetes management for over a century. It's been a long, long time, but it takes a slightly different approach to achieve remission.
The U of A researchers found that after an intense lifestyle change, some patients were able to stabilize their blood sugar levels without any medication. The team is starting phase 2 of the study in the new year.
Edmonton's downtown was shining bright as a new festival kicked off. Last weekend was the inaugural Downtown Winterval for the Edmonton Downtown Business Association. A 2-day festival was held along 104th Street and Jasper Avenue to support local businesses. Live ice carvings, dozens of photo opportunities, and live music were all part of the historic event.
Yeah, so we decided to do this event on 104th Street because there are lots of businesses around, and this is a great place to activate, a great street to activate, so that people can choose to be on the street, take part in all the activities, but also head inside to a restaurant, grab something to eat.
This is one of many events held downtown for the holidays. Bright Light Skate Night is set to launch on the 16th, and a firework display will be held on New Year's Eve.
Teddy bears fell from the top levels of Rogers Place on Friday as the Oil Kings hosted the Silvertips.
That's right, and teddy bears weren't the only things falling as Interprovincial bowling took place on Sunday. Our Grand Fellows has more.
Thanks, guys. The Edmonton Oil Kings squared off at home versus the Everett Silvertips on Friday for Teddy Bear Toss Night, and it was a barn burner. With over 17,000 in attendance at Rogers, Everett hoped to spoil the party early. A pass in front from Rouse, and Patton makes no mistake for his 10th to take the lead. Just minutes later, Hansen gives the crowd what they wanted. The teddy bears rained down, and over 14,000 were collected for Santa's Anonymous. Now 2-1 Everett in the second. Finney will grab the rebound and pot his 7th of the year, but Everett would respond with a through-the-legs pass by Hemmerling, and Mitlinen puts it in the open cage. Tied at 3 in the third period with just over a minute left, and the Oil Kings on the power play. LaJoy leans into a wrister and goes bar down on Chadwick to complete the comeback. The Oil Kings would add an empty netter to win 5-3, and first star Landon Hansen had this to say about scoring the teddy bear toss marker.
It's pretty surreal. I know I said it earlier, you're probably going to hear me say it a lot, but it's for a great cause, and I'm just glad that I got to be the one to score. It's great pass from Nasher, and wide open nets, hard to miss those, right?
The Oil Kings are back in action at Rogers this Saturday versus the Medicine Hat Tigers for Star Wars night. Switching lanes now, literally. The pins fell this weekend for Interprovincial 5-pin bowling in Sherwood Park. The Edmonton 5-Pin Bowling Association hosted their Interprovincial tournament this weekend at Sherwood Bowl. With the pins set and the bowling balls shined, all that was left was to knock them down. These bowlers competed for a chance to represent Edmonton at Provincials on January 13th in St. Albert. The winners of this tournament made up a team of 2 men and 2 women. We spoke to the president of the 5-Pin Bowling Association, Katie Rayner, about the event.
This tournament is like a great tournament for people who are just starting out with bowling. So instead of playing as a scratch event where it's just the highest scores or winners, this one is a pins over average tournament.
To join a league or sign up for 5-Pin, go to edmonton5pin.ca and start knocking those pins down.
You know, from teddy bears to bowling pins, it seems like there's a lot of sporting events going on in Edmonton, despite the fact that campuses are on leave for winter break.
And with sports winding down for the holidays, what upcoming sporting events can people look forward to in the city?
Well, there's the FIS Snowboard Big Air World Cup. That's Saturday at Commonwealth, as well as the Oil Kings will host the Medicine Hat Tigers for Star Wars night.
Thanks, Greg.
Nice.
Coming up, an Edmonton holiday staple celebrates 55 years.
And a look at the newest spike in Edmonton's punk music scene. We'll be right back.
Edmonton's newest up-and-coming hardcore punk band performs at the Starlight.
And the Edmonton Christmas Market kicks off the holidays festivities. Our Selena Martinez-Barba has more on those stories.
It's officially that time of the year again. Christmas is arriving soon, which means the festivities will be running rampant, starting in Fort Edmonton Park. The event is made up of elements made for everyone to enjoy, with a mix of outdoor and indoor activities. Activities include checking out the over 200 vendors all around the park and taking a ride on the streetcar.
Well, I came down to see my friends. We come and talk about Christmas and Christmas presents and what everybody's looking forward to for the holidays.
The market promotes 2 featured donation campaigns. Those that have the means to give can drop off non-perishable food items for the Edmonton Food Bank or winter clothing for United Way, with volunteers from both organizations on site to ensure everyone has a happy holiday. Last Friday, the Starlight Room showcased Alberta-based hardcore punk bands for a loud and fanatical night. The show included 4 bands. Of the 4 bands that played on Friday, 3 of them come from right here in Edmonton. While hardcore punk was the main focus of the bands, death metal, grindcore, and pogo punk were performed on Friday's show.
I find it goes in waves. So like the last few years we've been in a bit of a dip, and it seems like there's a lot of new bands coming out now and a bunch of old bands returning like us. So like it's been on the rise again.
The show ended with Suicide Pact, the up-and-coming highlight of the event, expressing Edmonton's newfound love of punk. Well, my ears were still ringing even after the concert.
I mean, it seemed like the Christmas market was a nice time.
And you interviewed Santa. How's he like?
Well, he's as jolly as you expected him to be.
Christmas is near, and many people might be thinking of what suitable gift to give to their loved ones.
That's right. Our Maria Mena went to a show in Edmonton called The Box Show to learn more about the different box art pieces they showcase, which could be the holiday gift people are looking for.
Boxes are pretty straightforward. They have 4 corners and are usable. But what if I tell you there's a place here in Edmonton where you can enjoy the beauty of boxes, but as functional art? I'm Maria Mena with 2nd Edition, and I'm here in Bay 1 Gallery to learn more about the box art pieces they showcase here in their show called The Box Show. Let's go.
Thanks for having us today, Trisha.
I heard that this is the box show's third year. How did it start and why boxes?
The show started actually with a gallery that used to be in the gallery district called the Two Gallery. And that was run by Alex Patterson and his wife Lorna. And they are friends of Ralph and I. And so when we opened up this gallery, Alex said it would be great to see the box show continue. So they started the box show with box makers. And why boxes? Everybody has boxes. We all have uses for them, and woodworkers, mostly all of them, will make some sort of type of box. So you can see the boxes are just beautiful, all kinds of different creative styles, and the show runs for 3 weeks. We have about 10 different box makers.
What is the appeal you see with these art pieces?
I would say the craftsmanship is excellent. It's a high-end gallery. We keep the bar very high. If you go around and look at some of the work and from the comments of clientele, the craftsmanship is just, it's up there. It's some of the best in Alberta, and I would say even in Canada.
Are the box pieces usable?
All of them are usable, yes. They are functional art pieces.
To anyone that might be interested, how much is the box pieces?
Yeah, the ranges are from, I believe, about 120, starting at about 120, all the way up to 600. So depending on the type of wood, the type of craftsmanship, the amount of work and time, materials that had gone into it.
What can everyone expect from the box show?
They can expect some of the most unique, creative, high-end boxes around. Yeah, the craftsmanship, like I mentioned, is just tops.
And that's all I have for you, Tricia. Thanks for having us today. The box show is here until December 9th. Christmas is coming, and if you are interested, visit the Bay Wine Gallery and pick up a special handmade gift for your special someone. I'm Maria Mena with Second Edition.
One of Edmonton's longest-running Christmas attractions is celebrating an important milestone this year.
Candy Cane Lane turns 55, and to celebrate, Candice Slosky speaks with a local homeowner to learn what it means to take decking the halls to a whole other level.
The extravagant Christmas arrangements for Candy Cane Lane have been around for as long as most people can remember. Now on its 55th anniversary, it's time to talk to a resident about what it's really like to live amongst all this holiday joy. And today I'm here with John Trapp, a resident of Candy Cane Lane, and we're going to discuss what makes this street in general so special for this holiday in particular. When you moved here, did you know the reputation of this neighborhood, kind of what it stood for?
Yeah, actually it was not really our intention to actually move on to Candy Cane Lane, but we had sold our previous house quite quickly. My wife wanted to come and see this house, and it was actually quite a magical night because it was the first walking night of Candy Cane Lane, so the street was shut down, sort of that Christmas time of year, and I guess a part of our decision was, oh, this is a really cool experience, and the house ended up working for us. So it's been a fun thing ever since with our neighbors, and it's a good community vibe for sure.
Is there some sort of pressure to keep one-upping yourselves each year?
Not externally, I think, but maybe internally a little bit with my wife's expectations. You know, when we first got here, it is kind of fun to just sort of add to it every year without going too overboard. So yeah, this year we added another sort of new piece. I don't know when it'll stop, but I think it continues to get stronger every year from what I've seen. Kind of just keep people interested and see something new, but you know, not overhauling it, that's for sure.
I know Candy Cane Lane does partner with the food bank to raise donations. Is that something that should be expanded to other charities, or maybe just kind of kept to the one?
It's a good question. It is really nice to see the contributions to the food bank. That just is always an ongoing need, so I think actually having it concentrated to the food bank is probably a really good thing.
They have a lot of sleigh rides that come past here. Is that a big cleanup, or is that something that the city will handle?
Yeah, no, they do a great job of taking care of that. So yeah, that's another nice part of it is just having the horse sleigh rides going on. I know they sort of stage up at the end of the block there, and There's probably a little bit more cleanup down there that is needed, but it's limited impact to us as residents, and it's totally worth it.
Candy Cane Lane opens December 8th and may well last another 55 years right here on 48th Street. But if you do come to enjoy the displays, the residents ask that you bring a food bank donation. This has been Candace Losky with Second Edition.
It's no surprise that the weather we've been experiencing for the past few months has not been the typical Edmonton fall and winter weather we are used to.
But not everyone knows exactly why. Our Kylie Soleil sat down with CTV's Edmonton's chief meteorologist to give us more information on the temperatures we've been experiencing lately and why.
I'm Kylie Soleil for Second Edition, and today I'm at CTV Studios where I'm going to be sitting down with Chief Meteorologist Josh Clausen to discuss the weather that we've been experiencing and whether or not we're going to be having a white Christmas. So because of El Nino, we've had an unseasonably warm fall and early winter, but for those that don't know, what is El Nino?
So El Nino relates to a warming in the eastern equatorial Pacific. And so you basically have this blob of warm water in the Pacific near the equator, and when it shoves itself a little closer to North and South America, then that changes and reroutes most of the upper air streams. And so we call that, when it's more than 1.5 degrees above the average sea surface temperature and it moves back to the east there, then we call that an El Nino. And typically for us in Western Canada, El Nino winters are when we feel the biggest impact, and it's at warmer than average, usually drier than average for most areas, although precipitation's a little tougher to pin down because it's so spotty, the amount of snow that you get in any given province, right? So typically less snow than average and almost always warmer than average. That doesn't mean winter's never going to come. There will still be some cold days this winter, but on the whole, we can expect warmer than average conditions.
So are we going to have like that nasty January, February?
Probably. I mean, it's still winter even in an El Nino year. It just won't likely last as long, and you'll see more of these breaks of mild temperatures. Almost every winter, you have ups and downs with temperatures. It gets above zero and then it drops below zero. Usually you don't see that really cold air, though, settle in for an extended period of time when you're in an El Nino winter.
Do you think that because it's been so warm thus far, our winter's going to be harsher, or is El Nino going to stick around and keep it a little warmer?
I hear this a lot from people where they're like, oh, we're going to pay for this later. There is no paying for it later. There's no correlation between a really warm fall and an abnormally cold winter. So is it going to get cold sometime in January and February? Yeah, probably. But there's no way to sort of draw a straight line from the fact that it's warm now means it's going to be brutally cold later.
I have to ask the big question now.
Sure.
Are we going to get more snow, and are we going to have a very white Christmas?
We will get more snow at some point, Kylie. Will we have a white Christmas? I would bet yes, because it is extremely rare to not have snow on the ground at Christmas time in Edmonton. The last time was 2005. You have to go back to 97, I think, to find the year before that didn't have snow on the ground at Christmas. So my bet would be yes, we will have some snow on the ground at Christmas.
Well, there we have it. El Nino and its impact on Edmonton's weather. And the answer to the burning question, will we have a white Christmas? For Second Edition, I'm Kylie Soleil.
Coming up after the break, a spiced eggnog just in time for winter.
And a Filipino dessert that's sure to knock your socks off. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Second Edition. Coming up, we'll show you how to make homemade eggnog just in time for the holiday season.
Plus, how to bake for beginners. Kayla, are you much of a baker?
I mean, I was in a little bit of a baking kick for a little bit, but I wouldn't say it's much of a passion. What about you?
I'm okay at it.
All right, but first, our Harold Abuan shows you how to make a Filipino dessert, Leche flan.
Welcome to my kitchen. Ako si Chef Harold, pero you can call me Kuya Kim. Ngayon, magluluto tayo ng leche flan. You'll need a can of condensed milk, a can of evaporated milk, some sugar to make the syrup, a dozen eggs, and a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Just pretend it's there, Okay, first things first, step 1, you're gonna wanna crack these eggs open. Next, you're gonna wanna mix the yolks together. Do this as gently as possible. And by gently, I mean don't beat the eggs like you would scrambled eggs. It looks like I'm beating these eggs very harshly, but this footage is just sped up. Next up, you want to open up your can of condensed milk, pour it all in, and then stir. This will add sweetness. After you've added in all your condensed milk, it's time to open up your evaporated milk can, and then add that in too. Again, remember to stir gently. Add in a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract and your custard mix is done. Now it's time to get started on the syrup for the leche flan. Get your pot down and let's melt some sugar. I set the heat to medium, but I put it back to low as soon as the sugar started melting. This is actually the easiest part to screw up in this whole recipe. If you cook your sugar for too long, it's gonna burn, and if you let it cool down, it's gonna harden, so keep whatever container you're gonna pour your custard into on hand. Pour the custard onto the container after you've let the syrup cool down. If you don't, it's gonna scramble the eggs. Remember to strain the mixture while you're pouring it as well. It's gonna help with the air bubbles inside the flan. Wrap your leche flan in tin foil. After it's wrapped, it's time to throw it onto a steamer. Steam the flan for 60 minutes on a low simmering heat. Cooking time might vary. It took me more than 60 minutes because it wasn't cooked all the way in the middle, so I had to throw it back in for a couple of minutes. When your leche flan is cooked, take it out and let it cool to room temperature. When it's room temperature, throw it in the refrigerator to cool down even more for 2 hours. I think this is actually a good time to confess that this is the first time that I'm making leche flan. I have, however, helped my grandma make this before, and watched her enough times to know what to do on my own. I think it's going pretty smoothly so far. I just have to cut it out. Now all that's left to do is invert it onto a plate and admire it in all its oh my god, may basag ang leche flan ko.
Well, it broke, but presentation isn't all that matters. As long as it tastes good, no one's gonna judge you. Harold of One, 2nd edition.
Just the RV. It's a good looking vehicle, ain't it?
Yeah, it's so nice parked in the driveway.
Oh, hi there. I'm Tarna Andrusiak, and if you're anything like me, you like watching a National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation with some eggnog. Unfortunately, my family doesn't have eggnog at this moment, so today we're gonna make some. So our first step is we're gonna pour 2 cups of milk into our liquid measuring cup. Add our 2 cups of milk into our pan that is on medium heat. So now that we're waiting for our milk to simmer, we're gonna measure out our 2 cups of heavy cream. We're gonna add our 2 cups of heavy cream to our milk. So now that we have added our heavy cream to our milk, we need to combine the rest of our ingredients together. So we're going to combine our eggs, our vanilla extract, our sugar, and our nutmeg. Now that we have mixed the rest of our ingredients together, we're going to add our heavy cream and milk to the rest of our ingredients. Now that we've added our heavy cream and milk to the mixture, we're gonna add it back into the saucepan. Now that our mixture is back on the stove, you wanna turn the stove on to low heat, and you wanna constantly whisk it for 10 minutes straight until it thickens up. Now that everything is done and cooked, now it's time for the fun part. We actually gotta put our eggnog into our mousse mug. Top it off with some whipped cream. And a straw. And there you have it, homemade eggnog. This has been Taryn Andrusiak, 2nd edition.
Hi, I'm Nick Dubé, and welcome to Cooking Up Disaster. Today, for the first time ever, I'm going to attempt to bake a cake. 3 simple ingredients on this, and we will see what happens. So today we're going to need some icing, some vegetable oil, You'll need a measuring cup. We also have 2 pans. I'm going to attempt to do it twice. Hopefully it works. For the first step, we are going to need to preheat the oven to 350 degrees, which has already been done. Mix the cake mix with water, oil, and eggs. Now we've put our cake mix in here, and next up is a half a cup, 125 milliliters of vegetable oil. Can't screw that up, right? Next step says 3 eggs and 250 milliliters of water. So now we're going to pour the water in. 3 eggs. Let's get going. I suppose this is what it's supposed to look like. Okay, so now that we're done that, everything's looking pretty good. I don't know how much you're supposed to put in here, but no guts, no glory. Mom, how long do I put these in for? And as the instructions say here, 28 to 33 minutes. So there we go, 28 minutes. We're gonna take it out. We're gonna see what happens. Trusty icing, milk chocolate. Yeah, you gotta wait for that to cool down. My bad. The top of this one is already a little hole in it, but we're gonna try the other one I cooked as a backup. Now I'm gonna cut in and we're gonna see how this tastes. It's not bad. I'll give it 6.5 out of 10. Not exactly a gourmet cake, but not bad for a first time. This is Nick Dubé, 2nd edition.
That's all we have for today's show.
Thanks for watching 2nd edition. We'll see you next week for our season finale.